Yo, it's Kevin, and this is the MP5. We're gonna take a look at some good loadouts you can run when working with level 2 traders. I'll show you some of the builds that are effective, but still on the budget side of things. And the purpose I'm trying to go for is that you can be effective at killing scavs as well as players, but without breaking the bank when doing so. And at the end, I'll show you what I think is the best possible loadout you can run on level 2 traders. It's not necessarily budget, but it will remain a very powerful yet cost-effective loadout for the rest of your leveling journey. And it's also one that I still run myself, with some minor tweaks here and there maybe. It's gonna be quite a lot of information, so let's just get started. Just please note that for all the items I'm gonna talk about, for extreme budgeters or for people who still want to use the flea market regardless, it's always worth checking the market out for some good deals and save a lot of rubles. But for the armor, be careful to mind the maximum durability of the item you're about to buy. Check with the traders for what the maximum durability is on the item you're about to buy, because some people will definitely try to flash you with super broken stuff. So, first and right off the bat, we're gonna establish some kind of baseline when it comes to gear and armor before we dive into weapon selection. Because there is only a few options when it comes to armor, it's easier to get them out of the way first. And you can use these as a base to start building your own kits. The 6B5-16 armored rig is unlocked at Rackman level 2 for 53k rubles. This level 3 armor vest will protect you from most of the bullets that may or may not be sent your way. This is the best budget option when it comes to armor. The only downside is that you cannot run any additional body armor underneath it. The upside to this is that it makes for a very undesirable item to be looted by other players. Insurance companies hate the guys who run these. The helmet choice is an easy one. The one I still run myself for most of my raids because I'm a poor guy. The SSH-68 helmet from Rackman level 1 for 18.7k rubles. This little beast is probably my favorite helmet in the game. Extremely cheap, level 3 armor, it does not block the ears so hearing is unimpaired and it can fit contacts underneath. The best part is that they almost never get looted by PMCs. They're almost like companion cubes that somehow always find their way back to you through insurance. Highly recommended to run these. Level 3 armor is pretty good to use for all of your raids, if you can. It will tank you a couple of hits from most of the cheaper ammo, so the stuff that scavs use as well as lower level players. And you'll also find that you survive just a bit more against players who are using top of the line equipment. Just don't expect to be tanking everything with this armor and you should be good. Also, make sure you bring those painkillers for your blacked out limbs. You're gonna need them when your legs and arms are still exposed. Also, before we dive into weapon selection, let's talk about ammo first. For those who may not already know, ammo choice is a very big thing in Tarkov. In my opinion, even more so than the actual weapon used. So, the way I approached this guide was to start with the ammo. In terms of what's new at level 2, only Peacekeeper has some interesting options. Starting off with the M85-6A1. This NATO round is chambered in 5.56x45mm and is in terms of performance indistinguishable from the 7.62x39 PS, which is sold by proper level 1. The M85-6A1 are tracer rounds where the PS is not, and at $2 each or about 230 rubles each, are more than twice as expensive as the 7.62x39 PS, which cost about 93 rubles each. They do make for a good option if you have a lot of dollars though. You can let these bad boys fly with the ADAR from skier level 2 and the rifle itself will set you back 33.5k rubles. You can pick up the 30 round mags at Peacekeeper level 2 for 2.5k rubles each. For this guide I'll bring 3 mags for each of the weapons I'm gonna cover. The ammo is decent, but on the expensive side for what you're getting. 90 rounds to fill up my magazines at $2 each end up making me pay about 21k rubles. This setup adds up to a price tag of 62k rubles. I think this is a decent setup to run, but we can do better in terms of budget and in performance. Nevertheless, this will still be a viable setup without breaking the bank. You don't need the 3 mags and will be fine with just the one loaded in the weapon and taking one in the chest rig, because the ADAR is semi-automatic and has 30 round mags. Just stick some extra ammo in the secured container for repacking. The second option, which is in my opinion a step up from the ADAR and the M85-6-in-1, is to have another look at the 7.62x39 PS. This round, unlocked from level 1, is probably the best of both worlds in terms of cheap price and killer performance. It's almost identical to the M85-6-in-1, but quite a lot cheaper. So, for a true budget setup, grab the SKS from proper level 1 for 24k rubles. You may be thinking, Kev, what the hell are you smoking, man? This is a level 2 trader's budget loadout. What are you doing recommending level 1 stuff? Well, this kinda goes hand in hand with some of the feedback I've gotten from my level 1 traders budget loadout. And people were like, why aren't you telling people to use the SKS because the PS ammo is so much better than the 9x19? What are you thinking? Well, the reason for it is the changes they made to the game with the 11.7 patch of the beta. And this patch brought a new thing to an old trusty servant, namely the SKS. I used to love running this weapon from level 1 as it was almost perfect. Cheap, incredibly deadly and came with 20 round magazines. But this all changed when the 11.7 patch attacked and saw the introduction of the SKS internal magazines. The internal magazine can hold 10 rounds of PS and is slowly hand loaded one by one in the same fashion that Mosin is loaded currently. So in layman's terms, what you basically get is a weak version of the Mosin. Chances are, in a clutch 1v1 CQB situation, you're gonna need more than 10 rounds to kill a target, if you miss a shot here and there, which is like completely normal. After your initial 10 rounds, having to reload this thing is gonna take ages. Having to do it mid-fight is gonna get you killed. Nowadays, 20 round magazines are not available at level 1 anymore, but unlocked at level 2 Peacekeeper for $61 or about 7k rubles each. These magazines make the SKS for me a much more viable setup to run at level 2 traders compared to level 1. So let's take a look at the budget SKS loadout. The SKS for proper level 1 at 24k rubles. Then 3 20 round magazines purchased from Peacekeeper level 2 at 7k rubles each, which will set you back another 21k rubles. 60 7.62 by 39 PS rounds from proper level 1 at 93 rubles each is 5.5k rubles for the ammo. And this makes the total weapon setup cost about 50.5k rubles. Of course, you can choose to leave one magazine and just bring the 2 with you, load up the SKS with a 20 rounder and then bring 1 to reload. Have the extra ammo in the secured container for repacking. 1 extra reload should be sufficient with this weapon, for the most part. I'm just keeping to a baseline of 3 magazines for easier comparison. So, we've covered the M85-6A1 and the ADAR, which make for a viable option. We've covered the 7.62 by 39 PS and the SKS, which also make for a strong pick. But there can only be one true champion. Enter the Vepr Hunter. I believe it to be the single best option when it comes to weapons to run in Tarkov at level 2 traders. The Vepr Hunter is purchasable from Skier level 2 for a price of about 50k rubles and is a semi-automatic carbine chambered in 7.62 by 51mm. What makes this weapon such a good option is thanks to the ammo. Unlocked at Peacekeeper level 2, you'll have access to the M80 rounds. Looking at the ammo chart made by No Food After Midnight, we can see that the M80 round does 80 flash damage, meaning it will one-tap any unarmored chest, as the chest has 80 health. It can penetrate just about any armor you'll come across. Sure, the M62 and the M61 may be better options when it comes to raw armor penetration, but are not unlocked yet at level 2 traders. And on a personal side note, I believe the M80 to be the best out of the 3 options. The armor pen is already insane on the M80 and the 80 flash damage will give you the one tap to the chest potential against unarmored targets. Besides, in practice, how often do you find yourself shooting at level 6 armor?
Well, I only ever face up against 4 armor guys and I only shoot in the chest.
The fuck? Shut up, Tony. So, to break it down, the Vepr Hunter is a semi-automatic carbine that's paired with M80 rounds for a one tap to the chest potential. Let's check out the cost. The Vepr Hunter will cost you 50k rubles from Skier level 2. 3 extra 5 round magazines at 1.2k rubles each are also sold by Skier level 2, so this will set you back in another 3.6k rubles. You may want to bring more than this because of the limited capacity of only 5 rounds, but the 10 round VPO magazines are unlocked from Skier level 3. But for those of you who don't mind to use the flea market, it might be worth to look for those if you want to run this weapon. Buy 60 M80 rounds, 20 to fill up the magazines, because 1 already came with the weapon and then the 3 extra, and put the rest in the secured container. 40 rounds will make a full single stack and should be enough for repacking. 16 rounds will cost you $120 or just shy of 14k rubles. Just take the rest in the secured container. If you really want to get the best out of the Hunter, I recommend checking out proper level 1 and purchase a PSO scope for 19.5k rubles. This will fit directly on top of the Hunter. For those who do not like to run this scope or want to use the Hunter more close up, you can also go for this option. Remove the rear arm inside. Visit proper level 2 and purchase a Tactical Tula TT01 for 3k rubles. Drag this onto the Hunter. From here you can mount any reflex sight on it. For example, the PKO6 that is bought from Skier level 1. I have to say though, to get the most out of the Hunter at closer ranges, it would be very wise to check out the flea market and also get the 10 round magazines. Keep in mind though that even though this is viable, you're not really using the weapon to its full strength. So, to conclude, this would be my personal best loadout for level 2 traders. First up is the 6B5-16 armored rig, unlocked at Ragman level 2 for 53k rubles. Then the SSH-68 helmet or the companion cube for Ragman level 1 at 18.7k rubles. The GSSH-01 active headset at Ragman level 1 for 13k rubles. The Vepr Hunter for 50k rubles from skier level 2. A PSO scope from Papa level 1 at 19.5k rubles. 3 extra 5 round magazines for 3.6k rubles. And then 60 M80 rounds at 14k rubles. So in total, this setup will cost you just over 170k. And I think that's very much worth it. Of course, my personal setup is not necessarily so much a budget one, but I think this is one of the best setups to run, because you can get the one-tap potential, the level 3 armor, the contacts, and the ability to scope out areas and kill your enemies before they even see you. You can of course make it more budget yourself by not bringing this or that, like ditch the armored rig or the contacts, if you really are going for more of a sniper role. I like to keep my own options open though, and having at least a level 3 armor enables me to play a more active role around the maps whenever I feel like it. I hope you enjoyed, maybe learned a new thing, and of course these videos are all just my opinion. I'm wondering about yours. What do you think? What's your go-to loadout at level 2? Let me know in the comments. And if you're still watching at this point, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel in case you're new around here for more Escape from Tarkov. That's been it for me, Cheeky Breeky, and
Дикий минус!